Split Second Broadcasting rolls into Bristol, Tennessee for the continuation of the 12th season of the Great Lakes Racing Premier Series. As here tonight under the lights at the world's fastest half mile, this is Bristol Motor Speedway. Good evening, everybody, as we welcome you to the Dark Horse Battle at Bristol, and it will be that, a battle in every sense of the word. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Jack Mitchell, and Jack, with only 5 races to go here in the regular season, the chase looming, fast approaching on the horizon. A lot of racetracks that we kind of dub wildcard racetracks kind of stand between drivers and their opportunity to fight for a championship. Tonight is no different. This is only a half mile in length. It doesn't matter if you're at the front of the field, the middle of the field, or the rear of the field. Things happen so fast here, and there's usually something happening every single lap.
Absolutely. This is something that you and I were talking about, earlier today before we went on the air, how I love Bristol because of how fast-paced it is, but it's definitely a track that's known for you could just be driving around, minding your own business mid-pack, and all of a sudden there's an incident that happens and you're caught up in it, and I can completely alter the course of somebody's race.
225 laps here tonight, equating to 120 miles. Doesn't take them long to tick away these laps at Bristol. And a great qualifying effort for Christian Peterson here tonight. Christian, of course, multi-time winner on the season, 3 trips to victory lane, one of only 2 drivers that has found victory lane multiple times this season. And a driver who missed the start last week at Road America comes into this race 9th in the point standings. Track position going to be really important here tonight for the driver of the 75.
Absolutely is. And I mean, starting on the pole is probably the best thing to do here at this racetrack as well, because you know how everybody's going to try and get as quickly of a run as they can to the front of the field. So if he gets a good start when the drop of the green flag takes place, you should look to try to hold the lead and run whatever the preferred line is. It can be top or bottom here, honestly. There's not really a defined preferred line right now as there has been in years past.
Taking you through the starting here, 35 drivers strong going to take the green flag this evening. Hunter Madalena is going to line up right behind Christian Peterson. Combined, the two of them have 5 of the previous checkered flags so far this season. Jared Duda, who's trying to run down Matthew Weeks for the points lead on the outside of row number 1. Here we go. The battle at Bristol begins as Peterson and Duda lead us through 1 and 2. And you mentioned no real clear, definitive line that gives you an advantage, almost dead even amongst the front row crossing the start finish line. Maybe a slight advantage to that top side for Jared Duda being able to get that run off the corner.
Yeah, he did a really good job on that start. That quick run and is now in the P1. I'm a little bit confused here because I can see the 6 car must not have gotten going on that start. He's already in danger of falling a lap down here early on.
Jackson Sims, who had a great run going last week at Road America. We saw his teammate Brent Kincott be able to pull off the pit strategy to find victory lane. And you're looking back from that Roku Toyota Camry at the race leader. Currently still on the lead lap, but not the situation that he wanted to be in the early going. Jackson Sims coming into this race 4th in the point standings.
Something to keep in mind. You definitely do not want to have a setback early on in this race, or really at any point in this race as well, because of how small of a track it is. It's very easy to fall lap down, and we're already under yellow.
Caution out for the first time here this evening. Looks like maybe the 28 of James Schiffler. We got another car around there. That's Lewis Woodall in the Pepsi Chevrolet. I believe that's on the back straightaway. Is everybody going to make their way around him? He'll get that car refired once the field goes by. I believe we had quite a number of drivers actually collected up in this incident. The 13 is the only driver that's left there of the remnants of this incident. I think we had a multi-car incident off of turn number 2, and mentioned about things happening so fast at a track like Bristol. Also, there's not a whole lot of room to maneuver when a wreck happens in front or around you.
I think that's why I brought up earlier on, you can be just minding your own business, and all of a sudden something like this happens right in front of you. You see a couple of drivers caught up in that chain reaction as the 13 goes around. It's just another classic case as you said, not a whole lot of room to maneuver, and those guys had nowhere to go.
Like Hudson Geiger maybe got a little loose underneath of the 13 of Lewis Woodall. Got some assistance from behind by James Wagner, Gavin Fitzgerald, Blair Neabone, Travis Hanby all getting pieces of it. Oh, there you see where Shiplet got involved in the 28. Front end to front end contact. Almost had it gathered up here. Watch again that 71 left side of your screen. Watch how they start stacking up here as we're looking at Gavin Fitzgerald. And it's just a matter of where do you go, right? Like
Yeah,
there's no lane further up. There's just the outside wall. If you're
when the
Gavin
Carter's inside,
Fitzgerald,
it's just no it's one of those things where you kind of just the only thing you can really do is hit the brakes, but in that case, you have drivers right behind you as well that are accelerating and have no idea that you're about to hit the brakes for a spinning car. So it's the consequences of this being such a tight racetrack. There's not a whole lot of room to go.
got a bunch of drivers that are either on pit road getting repairs or have already taken their cars to the garage area. Neabone, Fitzgerald, and Shiflett amongst those drivers. That caution was a huge break for Jackson Sims, who we saw was only a few car lengths ahead of the race leaders, in danger of going a lap down. He was able to cycle to the tail end of the field here now. We're going to have 32 drivers that'll take the green flag for this restart, as we will now cross the threshold of 10 laps into this race. Jared Duda, who was able to get the race lead from the outside of the front row, got lane choice the control car. No surprise, he elected the top side of the front row here for the restart.
Yeah, did a great job on the initial start of the race on the top side, decided to stick with it on the restart, and it's so far paying dividends.
Jared still looking for that first win of the season. Second in points, as mentioned, coming into tonight, 20 points in arrears to Matthew Weeks, who right now is back in the 15th position, so a big opportunity for Duda to try and close up that points gap with the regular season's end fast approaching. But Shane Nicewanger, high, wide, and handsome, they're going to challenge to the outside of Christian Peterson for second.
Duda now to the inside. So we're going to get the run on the top, so it definitely feels like in the early going, the high side is seeming to be the preferred line for these drivers. You see the 49 will take the race lead around the outside. Saw Duda on the initial start get his good launch on the outside, chose to restart from up there as well, and that's where Nicewanger takes the lead.
Nicewanger in the previous 9 races, only 2 finishes up inside of the top 5. Had a decent run last week at Road America to move up another spot in the standings. Currently 5th in points, 23 points to the good above the cut line, but looking for some added insurance. Along with that, as we follow this battle here between, oh, we got trouble, that is Hunter Brittle, and we've got Tyler McClellan around as well. Cannot tell who that is behind him. I think that's the 29 of Brett Malone. And McClellan facing the wrong way here, just past the start-finish line, headed for the entrance of turn number 1.
Caution back out, obviously. This is the tough situation when you're spun around like this, is there's so many drivers as he tries to keep it off of the wall. There's so many drivers around you that are trying to avoid the incident, so you don't really have any time to turn your car around until they're all past you, so you're just going to lose even more positions.
And you saw just as he got that car turned around, a trio of drivers, Duda, Nicewanger, Peterson, the top 3 actually got by him. Oh, there was McClellan actually into Brent Malone. They kind of gathered it back up, and then Brent got Tyler in the right rear quarter panel, and we saw Hunter Brittle have a great save there. Looked like he may have slid trying to avoid the incident that was happening in front of him. He's on board with Spencer Owens.
Get plenty of space to actually hit the brakes this time around. Little bump from the front.
Yeah, it was Vincent Vanderhook that he got into the back of. Not sure exactly how much damage that's going to be for both of these drivers here. As you see right there, Brett gets the thing straightened back out, and as McClellan's trying to save his race car, it overcorrects up across the nose of Brett. Some scuffs on the right side of that car, but I think both drivers should be able to continue. Not nearly the violent hits that we saw a number of drivers take back in the first caution.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're more than likely to see a lot of those minor bumps there over the course of this race. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a totally clean race car when it's all said and done up at the front of the field.
Got a couple of drivers that have come down pit road, more than likely for damage repair than anything. Race leaders, for the most part, all going to stay out. So we'll get ready for yet another restart. Shane Neiswanger, who got the race lead, going to elect the top side. I think it's going to get to a point here where we're going to be shocked for any future yellows if the control car does not take the outside line, because we saw what Jared Duda was able to do on the initial start and the most recent restart. That top line, as you said, seems to be a little bit more the preferred line, especially for the launch on corner exit and that straight line speed headed for either turns 1 or 3. Pace car makes the left-hand turn to pit road. Shane Neiswanger through the Ecker Park restart zone gets us back underway. Great launch. He didn't have both lanes cleared. Wow, look at Jared Duda. Lost the nose there through the center of 1 and 2. Almost found himself up into the driver's side door of Hunter Madalinas, who will slip by for second.
That was a beautiful restart by the 49. I don't think that Duda was expecting Neiswanger to have that kind of crossover move in a sense, and that allowed the 7 car as well to get the run around the outside and take second.
Peterson gonna slot into the 4th position. Cy Jackson right behind him, highest of the Toyotas, as he'll battle with Zach Henry for that 5th spot. Look at this wad of race cars here. Eric Kev, the 63. Elliot Henderson, who's one of a few former winners here at Bristol in the Great Lakes Racing Premier Series. Side by side with the points leader Matthew Weeks. Tony Manji in the 24 in this mix. William Barba Gelada. A lot of heavy hitters here just in the latter half of the top 10.
Be pretty key for them as well if they're higher up in the point standings to try to fight their way up here and try to get this checkered flag. Not that much time before the start of the playoffs, so getting a win now is absolutely vital regardless of where you are in the field.
Just took a look, and in the previous 10 races that Great Lakes Racing has run at the Bristol Motor Speedway, 4 former winners in this race, and they are all right now running inside of the top 11. Shane Neiswanger, who's leading, Christian Peterson, who just took the 3rd position from Jared Duda, Zachary Henry, who's holding down the final spot in the top 5, and Elliot Henderson, who right now is just outside of the top 10 and 11th. Tight battling back here. A couple of drivers who have already been involved in a couple of scuffles tonight. Brett Malone, the 29. Geiger in the 71, trying to get to the outside of the 22 of John Linday. Opens up the bottom. There's Brett Kingcott, that black and white number 5. Last week's winner from Road America. Huge points day for Brett Kingcott as well. Jumped from the cut line driver, 10th in the standings, to 6th in overall points. 21 points to the good as Geiger way up the track, up and into the wall. He had to take him 3 wide, did Owens and Kingcott.
Yeah, that was a sketchy moment there. Really hard to make 3 wide work at this racetrack. You can only do it for about a second or 2. There's not a whole lot of space, and that can be especially scary when you're a car that has just gotten up in the wall and all of a sudden you got to let all these faster cars right by you.
And Kingcott, you have our winner from a couple of weeks ago when we were at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, Kyle Cooper in the 73, trying to make his way up forward. Right now, the 2 most recent winners back in the 18th and 19th positions, respectively, as Spencer Owens continues to try and make his march to the front. Couple of blue ovals going to duke it out for the 16th position. Spencer Owens, another driver that's trying to solidify himself a spot in the chase. 7th in points, 20 points above the cut line coming into this evening.
Well, this battling has been going on. I believe we have had a lead change. The 7 of Hunter Madalinas has taken the lead away from Shane Neiswanger. Peterson has taken P3 away from Duda.
Madalinas, it has been almost a feast or famine season. He's got 2 trips to victory lane, but even despite a great run last week where he was one of the alternative strategy drivers trying to pick up his 3rd win of the season 1 week ago, came into that race outside of the top 10 in points and still sits outside of a chase position. 12th in points coming into tonight, 16 points below that 10th in the standings cut line, and trying to join the driver that just moved by Shane Neiswanger for 2nd place, Christian Peterson, as a 3-time winner on the season. Update on Christian Peterson as well. I believe that when we went off the air last week, we ended up announcing that with Peterson not making the Road America start, that he was going to be ineligible from a chase position. He did, however, attempt to qualify for Daytona, did not make the field. With that being said, he still does meet the start criteria. He would be eligible for a chase position. He was 9th in points coming into tonight, and he is fast closing in there on Hunter Madalinas. As we're on board with that number 75, you can visibly see the gap closing up. Looks like he's maybe a little bit better on entry. Madalinas a little bit better on corner exit.
Yeah, this single car versus single car right now, this is kind of where the inside can work to your advantage. Not really battling with traffic that's on the bottom, so you can get that run. I would allow the 75 to reel him in.
And you saw as we were on board right there, up ahead, you could see a couple of drivers on the tail end of the lead lap. That's one thing about Bristol Motor Speedway is it doesn't matter where you're running in the field, front, middle, back of the pack, nobody is safe. It's almost like a conveyor belt all the way around this half-mile banked short track. Race leaders, while they're battling each other right now for the top position, within about 10 laps, they might have to shift their focus into managing lap traffic.
Let's also not forget as well, the longer this green flag run goes, the more likely it is these guys are going to have to start making green flag pit stops, which is going to be a little bit trickier than normal for this race. You might be used to with Bristol Motor Speedway the double pit road. In this race, it is single pit road, so you make your entry. I believe it was into turn 4, I want to say it was, and then exit is turn 1. I could be mistaken. We talked about it a little bit pre-race, and I completely forgot already.
You're right there. I believe that is the entrance of turn number 4, and then the exit of turn number 3.
Turn 3.
For pit road. See Aiden DuPont there in the 00. 5 races still to go, including tonight. There's a handful of drivers that still could make a last-minute push to get into the top 10 in the standings. Aiden DuPont is one of those drivers, 14th in the standings, 50 points back, so he's definitely going to need to find a little bit of extra something between now and the regular season finale at Darlington, but mathematically still could accumulate enough points to jump up above that cut line. Matthew Durr, Zachary Henry, Hunter Madalina, some others that are just below that cut line as well, coming into this race and could very easily find themselves above said cut line when we leave Bristol here tonight. Is little searching going on here for Christian Peterson. He was running the same line as Hunter Madalinas as he closed at the back bumper. Now searching that top side for the run off the corner. He's going to get to the left rear going into this turn. Can he get the power down through the center is the question.
Linus holds firm for now on the top, but the 75 trying to pull the crossover. He ran really wide through that last set of corners. Can't quite get the run, but he is able to reel him back in on the straightaway. Going to try it again on the outside this time. Through 3 and 4, can't quite make the pass just yet.
As these two are battling, they have brought Jared Duda into the conversation as well, sitting only about 5 car lengths behind them.
Side by side again through 1 and 2. That was 3 and 4.
I think he's got him.
Track.
Outside line seems to be the preferred lane to pass. Madalinas, wow, great exit on that inside off of 2. How about a little paint trading there?
Madalinas not letting this one go. Now he'll clear him. Will Peterson for the lead for the time being. They do have to navigate around a lap car in just a moment here.
That's the 3 of Travis Hanby. that they're going to catch up to. Boy, when we saw Peterson make the pass that last time there off of turn number 4, you could see Hunter Madalinas really lose the front end of the race car on that inside line. Nighttime conditions, track's a little bit cooler, a little bit of added grip, but it seems like these drivers are asking for every bit, if not maybe a little more of these race cars, and might be using up that Goodyear rubber underneath them.
Looked like Duda had a little bit of a hard time navigating around the lap car.
We've got Hunter Brittle off the pace here. Slow on the inside line there through 1 and 2. He'll get the thing back up to speed, but gonna drift quite a ways back. He was, I believe, up just inside of the top 10. Now he'll resume outside of the top 20, actually battling for the 20th spot with Hudson Geiger. There you see the purple number 6 of Jackson Sims. We saw him battling to stay on the lead lap in the early going of this race. He has since made forward progress up to 18th as he'll get around John Linde, and now we got trouble here. This is, I believe, on the back straightaway. Tyler McClellan again with an issue as he was facing down into the inside wall there on the back stretch, and that will bring out the yellow for the 3rd time tonight.
Pretty long green flag run. Would not be surprised to see some cars on pit road under this caution period, but we'll take you back and take a look at what brought this yellow flag out. Got up into the wall there and couldn't quite gather it back up.
Yep, he was right behind Brent Malone. Not sure if running behind him got him tight. Loses the nose up, exceeds the cushion, and gets into that safer barrier, but as he turned the wheel left to come off of it, it's like it maybe came out from underneath him, and it's a pretty good shot into the inside wall there for that Crown Royal Vanilla Toyota. As you said, pit road going to be a very busy place. Christian Peterson leading almost the entire field down pit lane. Now the pressure is on the pit crews to either maintain or try and gain a couple of spots on pit road. We've already seen track position be very important in the early going.
And we talk about this a lot, but you have to be mistake-free on pit road. No speeding penalties, no overshooting your pit box or anything like that. Last thing you want to do is have to make your way back down pit road to serve a penalty or something like that, because it's very, very easy to go a lap down at Bristol.
I believe Travis Hanby, who we saw go a lap down to the leaders just prior to that caution, he gets the free pass, so he'll be back on the lead lap. And Peterson's team will hold serve as he'll come off of pit lane still with the race lead. Started on the pole position. It was on the inside of row 1, faded back to 3rd or 4th place, has since made his way back up to the front, and he will be the control car in this upcoming restart. Do we even need to put down a wager of what line he's going to restart in?
Would not be surprised, although I think they're lining up as though he has chosen the inside.
Oh.
Maybe we did need to put a wager.
Maybe we did. Interesting strategy call there. You see a couple of cars still on pit road. Brett Malone, Tyler McClellan, who brought out this most recent yellow. Anthony Yankello there in the 79. He's a couple of laps down. I think he's waiting to see if he's going to have to drop to the back and remain -2, or if he can go around and be only 1 lap down as we got the lights out. And looks like he will, well, he's still unsure of where he needs to be. Peterson is indeed going to choose the inside line, so this is interesting. Now, granted, he does have a Manji Motorsports teammate behind him in second. Actually, he's got 2 teammates there on that inside line with Jared Duda and Tony Manji. Maybe if he can time the launch good enough, he can clear Hunter Madalinas before they get to turn 1 and have a teammate side by side with Madalinas through the first couple of corners.
I think that makes a little bit more sense now as to why he chose the bottom, because he's going to be able to get in line with his teammates. Well, we'll see if it pays off as the green flag is waving once again at Bristol. A couple of cars getting into the wall nearly in the back. And a great restart for the 75.
Yeah, the strategy worked. Not only did it put Peterson to the lead, but Jared Duda was able to get the launch behind his teammate, move into second, though he'll have the challenge to drivers left. Here's Madalinas battling back. Side by side for fourth, Tony Manji to the inside of Zachary Henry, and then right behind them, Mr. Consistency, the champion of the series from 1 season ago, Matthew Weeks, in the 6th position, quietly, steadily working his way forward. He's got a bird's eye view of this battle amongst the top 5. Kev high, wide, and handsome in that yellow Giant Tiger Ford Mustang. Got a bunch of Fords actually here. William Barbage, a lot of all sorts of squirrely there through 1 and 2. I don't think that he had that wheel in a straight line the entirety of that set of corners, as he'll hang on to it, and now has Spencer Owens to his inside. Another blue oval entering into the conversation that wants to play, former Bristol winner and Elliott Henderson. They'll get that sorted out.
Oh, the 7 around.
11th, and Madalinas. Caution is going to wave. Hunter was battling for 2nd place with Jared Duda. And another hard luck incident for Hunter Madalinas, another former champion of the series. Was in that great back and forth battle 1 season ago with Matthew Weeks for the championship. Let's see what happens here as he gets into the back of Jared Duda. Duda's going to get a little loose, and
Duda
like
saved
maybe,
it. Looks like
did it check up the 7 enough that Henry maybe got in the back of him?
That's what I saw. Looked like there was a little bit of a bump from behind. Just another one of those stack-up incidents. Does not look like, thankfully, there's that much damage on the 7. Yeah, it's a chain reaction, I think. The 7 was the only car that got loose out of it, but he does manage to hold on to it. Comes to a stop before it makes any contact with the wall or another car, so he should still be good to go. But it's a big setback regardless, because he goes from battling for the lead to now being stuck in the back of the pack.
Yeah. The other good news is he managed to get the car refired, remains on the lead lap. But to your point, that spin is basically a net loss of 25 positions for Hunter Madalinas, a driver who is trying to race his way back into the top 10 in the standings. Great job there by Tony Manji to be able to avoid too, because we've seen drivers have incidents off the corner and it collect a lot of other drivers. The fact we got away with a single car incident, relatively minor contact, little to no damage for the spinning machine, not a typical thing when it comes to Bristol Motor Speedway.
Another handful of cars on pit road. Looks like a lot of them, just the ones that have already gone down a lap. 75 again going to choose the bottom.
This time he'll have a teammate to his outside. Zachary Henry going to line up in the 3rd position with Tony Manji, Matthew Weeks. The rest of the top 5, then Shane Nicewanger, William Barbagelata, Eric Kev, Spencer Owens, and Elliott Henderson. That will be the top 10. Looks like we're going to have 27 drivers on the lead lap when we go back green. As of right now, it looks like we've got 4 drivers that are out of the race. The majority of them involved in an incident back in the first 10 laps of this race, and unfortunately had to call it an early night as we're back green flag racing here. at Bristol Motor Speedway. Another solid launch on that inside line for driver 75.
I've come to the conclusion I don't think he cares what line he restarts in because he has been able to nail it no matter whether it be inside or outside. And we could be 3 wide for a brief moment. Look at that.
We thought about it.
It's Tony Mangi in a 24 that looked like he was in the middle of that, but managed to get out of the way. Henry going to make his way around the bottom, trying to make the pass for third.
That Tony Mangi's able to get through the center of 3 and 4. He wasn't even in the right rear quarter panel of Jared Duda. By the time they entered the 3, he's clear of him when they enter into turn number 1.
It's a great line right there from Mangi as he makes that pass and now has his sights set on the leader.
Tony Mangi, another driver that you kind of feel is not that far away from finding victory lane. Been consistent this season over the course of the previously run 9 races. Third in points, 58 points above the cut line. Currently sits a total of 28 points out of the points lead. Tell you who else has been really making his way forward. That's Eric Keff in the 63. He just got around Shane Neiswanger for the 6th position, and he has slowly, steadily been working his way forward. Up 4 positions from where he started. And he's been ripping the top side, been using that second lane to make forward progress on these restarts.
Yeah, he was up at the front of the field, spent some time in the race lead. Everyone else that looks like is slowly but surely working their way up towards the front of the field is our points leader, the 11 of Matthew Weeks. Currently up to P5 right now in his title defense.
A lot of drivers that over 80 laps in have been able to make some really significant strides forward from their initial starting positions. Hudson Geiger, who's just now outside of the top 10, 13th place. He's up 20 spots from where he started. Trey Holmes behind him up 17 spots. And you just mentioned about Matthew Weeks. He and Tony Mangi, who are now up in the top 5, both plus 11 from where they started this race. So a lot of drivers have done a really good job of not necessarily putting down the optimal qualifying lap, but making the most of it. We got trouble. Whoa, that is Trey Holmes, who I was just talking about. Sliding down the track, might have caught a piece of the 10 of Hunter Brittle. Caution will wave again.
Another one of those single car incidents, it looks like, where there might have been a couple more bumps from behind, maybe the front, maybe another chain reaction here, but only one car involved in it. I don't know, we have yet to see another incident that's been as bad as the first one where there were multiple cars involved.
Mentioned his name just prior. I don't know, do I take a partial commentator curse on this one? Is that
maybe
Kyle Cooper in the 73 just not clear? Thought he was clear up.
Okay, I lied. A couple more cars involved in that one, but that was mostly everybody trying to migrate to the bottom. You saw the 10 car wasn't quite able to get out of the way.
Vandermeer did a good job getting through there, and that Z-line Kyle Busch throwback as we're on board with Brittle. I don't think that's going to really affect him all that much, although I'm not exactly sure. With these O'Reilly cars, they could be finicky in terms of aerodynamics, even the slightest amount of contact. Normally when you think of a short track, you see drivers out there that look like late models. Is another incident here. That was Lewis Woodall with some contact between himself and Rod Fastnow. I think that was after the caution initially had waved.
I think so. You could see the pace car was making its way right by them. A bit of a trouble moment for those guys trying to slow down under yellow.
Caution out once again here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. So here's another look at it. They get shot front end first up into the outside wall for that Pepsi Chevy. Saw the leaders right there entering into the vicinity as Woodall got the car refired. I think he might have potentially lost a lap there. He was already -1. I think he was also in position to get the free pass under this caution, but getting involved in that incident is going to put him a little further behind the 8 ball. He's also gotten a black flag on pit road here, so he'll have to start EOL on the field. Currently scored -2, but he would be in line for any future lucky dogs, unless somebody falls a lap down between now and if the next caution falls. Take 5 drivers officially out of the race at this point in time. They'll finish 31st through 35th. John Lindy, Anthony Yankello, Blair Neabone, Gavin Fitzgerald, and James Shiflett as we fast approach lap 100. About 12 laps away from that is another, well, I was going to say great launch. It was a decent launch for Peterson, but Tony Manji stuck with him pretty well.
Yeah, Tony Manji kept him honest. Peterson certainly did what he had to do on that restart, but Manji wasn't quite going to let him pull away from it this time, and a couple of lap cars are in the way.
It's Trey Holmes in the 88 who brought out the most recent yellow. Looks like his team released him just prior to the green flag flying, so he's almost in a similar situation that Jackson Sims was at the start of this race. Only a few car lengths up ahead of the race leader. Barbagelata ripping the top side there, trying to hold up Matthew Weeks. Here's a look at Hunter Madalinas. When he went for that slide, running at the time in the 3rd position, he fell all the way back to 28th. He has since, with little help of that most recent caution, bunching everybody back up, now broken back up into the top 15, trying to get by Aiden DuPont. Wall of race cars up ahead of him, including Vandermeer, Cooper, Cy Jackson, Jackson Sims as well. He's got a fast race car, we know that, but got to be patient with the timing of these moves.
Still a really long chunk of time left to go in this race. About to get started with lap 95 here. It's one of those deals where they're short laps, they tick by quickly, but that's why there's plenty of laps. 225 is still a pretty hefty distance at this racetrack, so these guys are going to be needing to treat it as though it is a marathon, not a sprint. Might feel like a sprint at times, but don't need to try and win back the entire race in one lap.
Cy Jackson, that 2 car, he was up just outside of the top 10 early going of this race. He has his hands full with that machine, but really having to yank on the wheel on corner exit. Back end keeps wanting to step out on him. Wrestling with that thing here at the last great Coliseum. Meanwhile, a little further up there at the front, looked like that was Spencer Owens in a side-by-side battle.
Oh!
Oh, Vandermeer, look out! Oh, he's gonna get hit! That's Wagner and Geiger that got him. Everybody else scattering to try and avoid as a trio of cars littered the center of 1 and 2.
That was a huge hit. Easily the biggest hit I think we've had tonight.
Justin Vandermeer was trying to gather that thing back up after potentially getting spun off the corner. Thing overcorrected back up into traffic. You could see the 57 of Wagner try and get on the brakes, but easier said than done when you've got drivers that are behind you as well. This was Madalinas trying to get by. It's really hard to tell if he bumped him or not, but
can't tell.
Man.
At that point, you just have, it's another one of those deals, not a whole lot of room at Bristol. Car goes around and you can only hope that you're not right in the way of him.
Some big shots right there. Maybe a little contact for the 30 of Vanderhook. We were riding on board right there with Logan Hardy. Also saw the 3 of Travis Hanby go for a half spin, but I think that was him sliding on the apron on the brakes. But the three drivers are going to take the biggest impact out of all that, the 57, the 71, and the 54. Watch this again. You can see he's on the brakes. He knows he's in a situation, and oh, you know what? If that car comes up the banking even just maybe a half second sooner, I think everyone avoids him.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful close. It just goes to show you it's a game of inches. That's the difference between just the one car going around versus everybody else kind of piling in. I would love to, if possible, maybe see if we can get an on board with the 7. That is such a hard hit. We can see this from Madalena's point of view because we can tell if he makes contact from behind or not.
So I think there was contact. I think what happened there was potentially the car in front, which I believe might have been the 4 of Rod Fastnow. I think he checked up the 54. And when he did, the bump was uneven from Madalena's to Vandermeer. It looked like the 4 might have lifted in front of the 54. And when he moved low to avoid, he also had to lift out of the throttle, and that put Madalena's into his back bumper. Such unfortunate circumstances. And that seems to be the running thing here tonight, of drivers having difficulty getting off the corner and causing the stack-ups. That's been the chief cause of pretty much all of our yellows tonight.
It can be pretty easy, too, you said, with these nighttime conditions to kind of have a bit of a difficult time knowing exactly where to go when you get to the corners. You're just driving around this track so fast, battling for position as well, and especially in the case of Madalena's, he's trying to work his way back up to the field, kind of a mad dash to try to get himself back in the conversation for the lead. Just one of those unfortunate bumps from behind.
Great launch for Christian Peterson. Right now you got Manji Motorsports 1, 2, 3 with Peterson, Duda, Manji, Zachary Henry right now in 4th, Matthew Weeks in 5th. But how about this cluster just in the latter half of the top 10? Got a couple of former winners in the middle of this, and Kyle Cooper, Hunter Madalena, Shane Neiswanger, who took a turn out in front earlier on in this race. Jackson Sims up here in the conversation. What a great comeback he's had after we were talking about him the first 5 laps. Almost going left. Oh, got trouble!
Oh,
that's
boy.
Zachary Henry, Tony Manji. Massive wreck in this one. That's the
big one out of nowhere.
Of Logan Hardy. Saw Aiden DuPont got a piece of it. And there were a lot of drivers collected. That was another incident up at the front that would have been, I believe, a 3rd place battle, Manji and Henry, that got together. And then a bunch of drivers came sliding in as they entered turn number 1. There you see it, the contact as Henry gets into the left rear quarter panel of Manji off of 4.
Couldn't quite see the rest of the wreck from that one camera angle, but I think you kind of get the idea that that one little bump was all it took.
To look at it again. Matthew Weeks got a piece.
He's got through. Elliot Henderson just barely got by.
A couple of KFS racing cars there. Last week's winner, Brent Kingcott. Jackson Sims was in the middle of that. Oh, Shane Neiswanger. Wow, I didn't see him. Yeah. He hit the inside wall a ton.
I was about to say, from that last angle, it looked like, for the most part, there weren't too many minor hits. I didn't even see the 49 there with that hard hit to the inside wall.
This on board with Shane Neiswanger, and gets a bump from behind. That's a big shot into that inside wall. Said when we came on the air, Bristol is a wild card race. This is why, folks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is another one of those things. It was another driver who is maybe trying to make a mad dash back to the front of the field because he was in the battle for the lead in the early stages of it. But like we talked about at Bristol, it's so easy for you to find yourself in a situation where you're kind of just minding your own business, and then something happens right in front of you, and you have no time to avoid it. So he got hit from behind as well, so there was the chain reaction happening to his outside, I think, because he was running the bottom.
Track just became completely blockaded. Everybody trying to figure out where they needed to go. A couple of drivers did a good job getting through that. Vincent Vanderhook, Corey Abbott as well. There's a number of drivers that we haven't necessarily talked about here tonight, and this is the second incident that has happened up inside of the top 5. The Madalinas incident earlier, now this one in a battle for 3rd place. You know, we're approaching the halfway point here. If this keeps up, there's a bunch of drivers that spent the first half of this race outside the top 20. We could be talking about them in the top 10, top 5 before the night's over.
I feel like we only kind of have those conversations at a track like Daytona. Now we're having them at Bristol.
Yeah. I think they were having a bit of an issue of figuring out where the 3 of Travis Hanby needed to be. He'll go around and be on the tail end of the lead lap. Update on Shane Neiswanger, that hit we saw him take. They have pushed his car back behind the wall. That'll be an interesting storyline to follow heading into next week. A driver that was 23 points to the good, 5th in the standings, might take a bit of a tumble in the chase points, as looks like caution is back out. They've waved off the restart. And I believe that they're having everybody go around the pace car and pick it back up. They're trying to get the scoring figured out here.
It's one of those iRacing things where you have to make sure that you're right behind the pace car. At least that's what I assume.
As they do that, give you a look at what's to come on the road ahead for these drivers and their hopes of making it into the chase next week. You want high speeds, we're going to be in the Irish Hills at the 2 Mile Speedway, Michigan International. Following week's going to be some super speedway racing, as they'll be at Echo Park Speedway, the D-shaped 1.5 mile racetrack. They were at the Legacy 2008 version a couple of weeks ago. Then another 1.5 mile racetrack, Charlotte Motor Speedway. That will set the table for the track too tough to tame. The Lady in Black, Darlington, will be the deciding factor into what 10 drivers will be battling in this season's chase for the Great Lakes Racing Premier Series Championship.
Definitely a lot of tracks that stand out here in the late going. Michigan is a fun one. Echo Park / Atlanta, whatever we're calling it these days, it's a fun one. See a couple more shakeups here.
The word fun, I'm not hearing you say the word easy.
No. Fun for us to watch, I'll say that much. I don't think anything is really quote-unquote easy when it comes to iRacing, though.
No, true. I don't think there's a easy track on the circuit.
Part of the challenge, too, again, is, you know, this is the simulator where you're kind of locked to that onboard camera, that driver cockpit view camera. You can't really see what's happening right behind you or right next to you, so that adds to the challenge. Yeah, there you go.
You saw Matthew Weeks is going to restart in 4th on board with Eric Kempf, who's had a solid night. He'll restart in 7th. Right up ahead of him, Elliot Henderson. As we've got the lights out, looks like we got the whole scoring snafu sorted out. Peterson, Jared Duda going to be the front row. William Barbagelata, about that Interstate Batteries Ford Mustang, going to restart on the inside of row number 2 with defending champion Matthew Weeks. Keep an eye on that 27. He's been making his way forward pretty well.
Back green, I'm going to keep my eyes as well on the pink number 37 of Elliot Henderson. He comes into this race as the cut line driver in P10. If he can pick up a win, that's going to be massive for his chase hopes.
Slaughter will slot into third. Looks like about the top 4 have got themselves single filed out. Here's the Hornet's Nest is a little further back. Aiden DuPont up the racetrack. And to take the back bumper off of that car. Wonder if they used a Makita saw to do so.
Could be. Like when Chris Buescher was sponsored by Band-Aid for that one race, they used giant Band-Aids to tape his car, I think.
Side by side here, Eric Kempf on the inside. Spencer Owens on the outside, then Madalinas and our Atlanta winner Kyle Cooper gridlocked here from 6th back to 9th, and then add in 10th place Tony Manji there, who we saw spun around after contact from Zachary Henry. They were battling at the time for the 3rd position. He's back up here in that top 10 position, trying to make his way back forward. Been a number of drivers here tonight that have been up inside the top 5, top 10, run into issues and had to try and fight their way back forward. A couple of them right there on the inside line, the 7 of Madalinas and the 24 of Tony Manji.
Madalinas maybe tried to get in line there in front of Spencer Owens. Couldn't quite make it stick. He will this time.
Well, looks like most of the top 10 going to find themselves somewhat single-filed out. Most of the field, for the most part, kind of single-filed out as we've got 100 laps to go. Saw the 88 of Trey Holmes making his way back out onto the racetrack. We currently sit with 27 drivers still running, 22 of them currently on the lead lap. Battle for the free pass spot would currently be between Brett Malone and Logan Hardy, who have both been involved in incidents during the course of this evening, as Eric Kempf going to give way to Hunter Madalinas, pick up another spot for driver number 7, move him into the 6th position. A lot of searching for these drivers, more than likely trying to find a little bit of clean air to the nose through the center of the corner, as I believe Matthew Weeks was able to get to the right rear quarter panel of William Barbage-Alata. That'll be the battle for 3rd place, and Weeks will complete the pass by the time they get to the start-finish line.
There's a little bit of a crossover there. I think Henderson might have had to avoid hitting the wall. To the inside of Henderson, going to take away P5.
Low car on the inside there, Travis Hanby. Staying out of the way of the race leaders. Looks like maybe some more lap traffic up ahead to deal with momentarily. Couldn't tell exactly who that was. Like maybe that might be the 2 of Cy Jackson, as Peterson will make his way to the inside of that Toyota Supra. And now second on back, going to have to deal with this 2 car as Weeks continue to try to put the pressure on Jared Duda. Look at Barbage-Alata.
Don't have the room to take it through wide. He was thinking about it though. The 2 car will get up way to the outside and get out of everybody's way. Madalinas, he's found his way back up here.
In the 5th position, trying to hunt down another green Ford Mustang and William Barbage-Alata. We saw right there with that onboard, the back end wanting to step out on the 27. He's trying to wrap the bottom as best he could there through 3 and 4. Again, down to the inside line. Weeks into the back of Jared Duda off of turn number 2.
Boy. Beating and banging for every single position. Weeks still not letting him go. Caution is out.
That is Jeremy Pienta. Oh, there's smoke billowing out from underneath that Monster Energy Ford Mustang. Jeremy had been doing a good job working his way up into the top 15, but it looks like that may be a race ender for the driver of the 77. trying to make his way by the lap car of Ty Jackson.
Oh, not clear.
Yep. Our old friend Gapwack might have come into play, and I think he might have actually caught right where the safer barrier begins in the entrance of the corner. It juts out a little bit, and I think that his right front might have caught that.
Yeah, I think so. Right at that beginning of the safer barrier wall. Or there's actually no, there's a gap, I think, between the concrete wall and the safer barrier. I think that didn't look like a very large gap between the safer barriers either. That's almost interesting how he managed to find that one spot on the track where there was no safer barrier.
Tough break there for Pienta. It's more than likely going to end his night, as this was coming back to the yellow flag, and
Uh-oh.
Linus diving onto pit road there along with Christian Peterson. Tony Manji, Eric Kempf. Not sure exactly what was going on with those drivers there, but we're being told that apparently the field had not yet caught the pace car and pit road was open, so a lot of drivers making a last-minute dive onto pit road. That's one thing too, with smaller racetrack, half mile in length. You mentioned about things happening quickly under green flag conditions. It does under caution as well. You gotta
Yeah.
be aware with your spotter, your crew chief, letting you know exactly when pit road is open or not. We've seen a little bit of issues with scoring, them having to go around the pace car or run a couple of extra laps under caution. Got to get all that squared away before you turn them loose for the restart. And look who the race leader is going to be, Corey Abbott in the 43, now the new race leader with Jackson Sims to the outside. We've got the 21 up here, who I believe is off the lead lap. Things are wadded up on this restart.
Gonna be a pretty chaotic restart. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another quick yellow here. Everybody try to go out of the way, and you see the 37s around.
Henderson! Look out!
Oh boy.
Big hit from Travis Hanby. And you saw right there, Hanby couldn't even get the car refired.
I think this one's pretty easy diagnosis. It kind of came from the 21 car just not being able to get out of the way of the rest of the field before we went back green. That bottom line was held up, and then there's just a bunch of stack ups from there.
Yeah, that was Logan Hardy in the 21, who was a few laps down. Restart ahead of the lead, and you can just see that stack up there. Duda into the back of Manji, into the back of Peterson. And then as they enter into turn number 3, Barbagelata shaded inside. It might have been a gap whack incident right there. It did not look like there was contact between the 27 and the 37, but definitely contact between Henderson and the 3 of Hanby.
Yeah, a couple of hard looks there for Elliott Henderson. I was talking about earlier, I feel like I should take a penalty here for the commentator curse. I was talking about earlier how he was in position for a good finish that would really help him because he's coming into this race P10, which means he is the cut line driver. This is going to be a setback to his day for sure.
I don't think there was contact. I think the 37 got loose. It's like the thing just snapped around on him. Watch this again. Oh, it's so tough to tell.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right there.
Other cars trying to make their way by, but just didn't react in time.
And because of that contact there for Elliott Henderson, his night potentially is over. And you mentioned he was the cut line driver coming into this evening. Even with the onboard, it's really tough to tell. I mean, visibly, it looks like there's no contact. There could have been a little gap whack that came into play, but something that I've been watching with these drivers as well, they had all just been on pit road. And I've noticed that after a pit stop with those colder, slicker, fresh tires, drivers have found themselves somewhat snappy loose on corner exit. I wonder if that was the case there for the 37.
This is quite the interesting front row for this restart. Jackson Sims, who I think was having some trouble earlier where he ended up a lap down, is actually going to be up at the front alongside of Hunter Madalinas.
Had that great run last week. His teammate Brent Kingcott.
Oh, 75!
Road America Peterson around. The driver that started from the pole has led the most laps. Corey Abbott in the 43, also a part of that spin.
Talk about snapping loose. And that's exactly what happened to Christian Peterson right there.
And for the most part, Christian Peterson has spent this race out in front, put him back in traffic, and situation is entirely different. So look at it again. He's trying to the inside of Matthew Weeks, and you can just see it just comes around on him. Some contact between William Barbagelata and Corey Abbott sends the 43 spinning as well.
Couple minor bumps for Peterson. Obviously should still continue in the race, but will be set back nonetheless.
He's on board. Watch right here when he makes the move to the inside, and right there you can see that that right rear tire just not able to grip for him. Thing comes around. I'm not sure if necessarily a little air might have gotten taken off the spoiler with the 11 to his outside, but unfortunate there for Peterson and the fact that he's going to lose some valuable track position. Not nearly as bad a situation as it was for drivers like Madalinas and Tony Mangi earlier on this race, because with these cautions, the garage area is filling up pretty quickly. We can add in some more drivers' names, including Jeremy Pienta, Tyler McClellan, Vincent Vanderhook, Elliot Henderson. We now have about 21 drivers that are left running in this race, and 20 of them currently on the lead lap. We started the evening with 35 drivers strong.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, it's not as bad of a incident for the 75 of Christian Peterson. He should be able to hopefully remain on the pace, and there's not going to be a whole lot of cars that he has to navigate around to try to fight his way back up to the front of this field. And the only thing is, time is going to be against him. Only 76 laps to go. See how quickly he can maybe try to one-up Hunter Madalinas and make that mad dash back to the front of the field.
Mentioned about Jackson Sims and the issues he had in the early going of this race. Now the race leader, the control car, coming up that podium finish last week, 3rd place at Road America, 4th in the overall standings, and trying to see if maybe KFS Motorsports can go to victory lane in back-to-back Tuesday nights. Great launch for that Roku Toyota Supra. He'll have them side by side for 2nd place. Eric kept to the inside of Hunter Madalinas, then Matthew Weeks in 4th. 5th position right now, Tony Mangi on the comeback trail. And looks like we had an incident now, caution back out. That's Corey Abbott, the 43, last week's winner, Brent Kingcott.
Like it happened more towards the rear of the field.
This race is aptly named the Battle at Bristol, and there are a good number of drivers that will be leaving here tonight with battle scars as we take a look at what brings out this most recent yellow involving last week's winner from Road America. Oh, looks like
Oh, wow.
Tell if the 43 got the wall and got into the right rear of Rod Fastnow, or if Fastnow kind of crowded him up. And then Brent Kingcott, in reaction, went low, and then he ended up sliding up the racetrack.
Logan Hardy in the 20.
Wow.
Well, in this one again, too. That's a big hit from the right side.
Another driver that's been solidly in the top 10 all night long that we were just on board with there, Zachary Henry, a former Bristol winner in this series. Mentioned about the pitfalls of a track like Bristol. Nobody is safe. No matter where you are in the field. Let's here's a look at it again. And there you saw the 21 get into the right rear quarter panel of Zachary Henry, up and into the wall. Looks like all drivers involved will be able to continue. Majority of them will remain on the lead lap. I believe the 21 of Logan Hardy, who was in that incident, would have been the free pass car. Currently sitting 2 laps down, but looks like we will remain with 19 drivers still on the lead lap. This race is the Dark Horse Motorsports battle at Bristol. How about some dark horses here tonight that have had some early incidents, but now are finding themselves up here as the pay window opens. Inside of the top 10, inside of the top 15, Hunter Brittle right now holding down the 9th position. Brett Malone, Hudson Geiger, those two were involved in incidents back in the first 25 laps. They're sitting in 12th and 13th position. We've seen just about everybody from every position run into some type of trouble. There's nothing with 70 laps to go that says that some of these guys may not be able to get themselves a dark horse victory here tonight at Bristol.
I was saying earlier, and I think it still reigns true here, I wouldn't be surprised if our race-winning car is definitely showing some battle scars when this thing is all said and done. I mean, you could say the same thing in terms of a dark horse about our current leader, Jackson Sims. I mean, I was confused when I was calling the first lap because I saw him in front of the leaders. I wasn't sure what happened. It looked like he had a rough incident on the start or something like that. Now he finds himself in the lead for real this time.
Got them stacked up, second place on back. Eric kept trying to clear around the outside of Hunter Madalinas. He'll do so. Now he'll cross to the inside, look for the top position on Jackson Sims.
Can't quite get the run there on the front stretch, but he's going to stay protected line behind him. 1 and 2, and now Madalinas with a charge on the inside.
Kev got the wall. Jackson Sims loving what he's seen in the rearview mirror. If he's even looking, he might have both eyes out the windshield right now, just letting what happens behind him happen. Kemp's going to be able to keep Madalinas at bay. Matthew Weeks back to the outside of Madalinas for the 3rd position. Really seeing these drivers struggle on the inside line right there. William Barbagelata getting squirrely off the corner. Madalinas a couple of corners prior. Back end of the race car just not wanting to stay into the racetrack as they try and power into the throttle on exit.
Oh, the 7. Madalinas got loose for just a moment there. Maybe made a little bit of contact with the 24. And more contact. Look at this. Oh, wow.
That was tight. And Weeks is down on the apron now.
He's going to have to sacrifice all that track position to keep the car straight and keep us under green. Definitely, they tried to force it 3 wide there, but I think they kind of realized last second they couldn't pull it off, and then contact was made before they could back out of it.
Big save there by Matthew Weeks, and that kind of puts me in mind of Matthew Weeks having a big save on the apron at Iowa over a month ago. Who went on to win that race? Matthew Weeks. We might have to revisit that moment here. That was at 62 to go. Kev with a look to the inside of Jackson Sims. That inside line has not been the preferred place to make a pass, and that is why, as he got slideways off the corner. Great save, but look at the price he paid.
Another similar situation that we just saw with Weeks. Except this time at the front of the field, he had to slow things down, sacrifice all that speed, all that track position just to make sure the car stayed straight. We stayed green. It was a great save, but as you said, paid a big price for it.
Making a move for the lead, falling all the way
look
back
out.
to the ninth position. Brittle up and hard into the wall after he bounced off of Brent Kingcott. Caution will wave once again.
Like he was awful close to making it on the pit road, but just couldn't quite do it.
These drivers, they have had their hands full with these O'Reilly race cars here tonight. Just watch here with Hunter Brittle. I don't think there was any contact made. Well, maybe a little bit there, yeah. Hudson Geiger getting into the back of the 10 might have, with that bump, sent him a little too hot into the entry of the corner. The back end comes around, pointed down into the passenger side door of Brent Kingcott, and that overcorrected him back up nose first into the outside wall.
Definitely has not been the greatest night for Hunter Brittle.
I mean, he spent nearly the entire straightaway right there trying to gather the thing back up. I'm not even certain that he still had it gathered up
Look
by
at
the
that.
time the contact was made.
His right side tires briefly went a little bit airborne. Just a little bit, couple inches off the track. Nothing too crazy, but still not something you see very often at Bristol.
Brittle, great run last week at Road America. Jumped up 7 spots in the standings from 24th to 17th. Still 80 points below the 10th in the standings cut line. Tonight could have been another huge leap towards maybe finding himself around, if not above, the cut line in a month's time when we get to Darlington. But with that big impact there, that might be night over for driver number 10. It'll certainly have him multiple laps down. He may try to get out there, log as many laps as he can, try and vulture a couple of spots before the conclusion of this race, but certainly not going to be the finish that it was looking like he was going to be in line for. And some interesting strategy played out here. We ended up having the top 7 drivers elect to stay out. Jackson Sims, who was the leader, pit. He'll restart in the 8th position, but he will have about 35 lap fresher tires than the drivers in front of him, and we will be just north of 50 laps to go.
Time is definitely ticking. I feel like if we just get one long green flag run, that could be enough to carry us to the end of this thing. See what Tony Manji can do here from the lead. Christian Peterson has worked his way back up into 3rd place as we're back green. He can be quite eager on this restart. 24 with a nice jump.
Motorsports right now, 1, 2, 3. Madalina's trying to break them up as now Peterson to the inside of Jared Duda for the 2nd spot. Spencer Owens to the inside of Kyle Cooper looking for 5th position, and the fresh tires of Jackson Sims kind of boxed in right now in the 6th position.
Jared Duda going a bit wide there through that last set of corners. Now going to be side by side for P2.
Not 100% certain what the fresh tires will do in terms of speed for Jackson Sims. One thing I think it'll give him an advantage of is maneuverability. If he wants to run the top, wants to run the bottom, I think he'll have more options than the drivers up ahead of him on older tires.
That really helps you out too at a track like Bristol. Doesn't really necessarily feel like there is a preferred line. Sometimes the outside works, sometimes the inside works, and if you have that fresh tires and have that maneuverability, that can give you a ton of momentum as you try to reel in these leaders.
6 of Sims, the 27 of Barbage, a lot of the 63 of Kep. Those are the drivers right now that are the highest running that came to pit road and have a fresh set of Goodyears to be able to work with. maybe potentially they're of the mindset of what you were talking about, of expecting this thing to go green to the end and expecting that these fresh tires are going to be their advantage in carving their way back up to the front.
I mean, it is very fair to say that we could have another yellow flag here. I've seen plenty of single car incidents that have brought out the yellow over the course of this race, but with less drivers on the track, I think it's a bit more likely this time around that we could get a longer green flag run, but nothing's guaranteed, especially at a track like Bristol.
Right there, I think, was a telling sign, and I think it'll happen again right here. Jackson Sims on the inside. Big save as that thing gets loose, but he was able to make a pass to the inside of Hunter Madalinas. We've not really been able to see anybody that's on equal footing tires with the driver they're battling be able to complete a pass on the inside line. That's the advantage of those fresh tires.
Right now, working on trying to complete that pass to the inside of Jared Duda. Nearly ran him up into the wall.
Almost had him cleared there off of turn 4. A little contact potentially. And now he'll get clear. Look at the run he's going to get on Christian Peterson here off of turn number 2. Peterson left the door open on the outside line. Manji throws the block, but he's not going to be able to hold him off for long. Look at the launch with those fresh tires for Jackson Sims. He will rocket back to the race lead.
It was a very, very, very brief moment of contact. I think that was Manji trying to guard that line. He said throw the block, but yeah, just not enough to be able to hold off the leader. Fresh tires paying dividends late for Sims.
If you're William Barbagelata, you're trying to make quick work here of the Manji Motorsports machines. He just got around Hunter Madalinas, but he's got to get by these drivers quickly to stay in touch with Jackson Sims, who's trying to set sail. Brett Malone, look at this. Appearing on driver's left of Hunter Madalinas. He's now trying to make his way up here into the top 5.
Challenge to the inside. Madalinas ran a little bit wide there. Might have to give that position up.
Barbagelata's literally boxed in right now. Driver in front, driver kitty corner, driver to his right. And that's just allowing Jackson Sims to be able to pull away. Got by the lap car. The 21 of Logan Hardy. They'll take him 3 wide there off of turn number 2.
I'm not really sure they had a choice. Obviously, 21 wants to get out of the way. Just let the leaders do their thing, but it can be really tricky to do that from the outside, and ultimately that's kind of the situation that these other drivers are in right now. They got to run down that 6 car as quickly as they can.
Duda up the racetrack, little brush to the outside wall through 3 and 4. That'll bring Hunter Madalinas to his left rear quarter panel. Brett Malone might have actually brushed the outside wall there that time through 1 and 2. And Barbagelata's got himself, well, he's trying 3 wide here.
Oh boy.
Use the lap car of Cy Jackson as a pick as he'll try and take the 2nd spot from Christian Peterson.
Every position matters, every point matters, but you don't want to be side by side for that long because you're just letting the 6 car pull away right now.
Nearly a 2.5 seconds right now. Sims back to this completed battle for 2nd place. Sims is having to deal with some traffic up there as well, though. He's got about 3-4 drivers out the windshield. He just got around Rod Fast now. He's got another couple of drivers up ahead. I believe Corey Abbott is one of them. The other one, it's hard to make out who it is. Potentially the 57 there of Wagner. It could be actually the 96 of Tyler McClellan.
I don't know if you said this already or maybe if it just slipped my mind or what, but Barbagelata actually has equally fresh tires to Jackson Sims.
He does. The question is, though, can he
over.
cut down a 2.5 seconds?
That's going to be the tricky part.
3 wide is Fast now. Down the inside of the racetrack. How about Brent Kingcutt? Weren't we just talking about him involved in a wreck a couple of cautions ago? Put 4 fresh tires on that machine. Last week's winner back up into the top 10, currently in 8th.
Could be 7th in a moment as Analyst went way wide up the track. Can't tell if that's him or if that's a lap car. No, that is him.
Aiden DuPont in the conversation there as well. Great run in the 9th spot for the 00.
Tight 3-car battle there for P7. Madalena's still holding on to it for the time being.
Looks like right now, Brett Malone, Eric Kemp, Brent Kincott, their fresh tire advantage has gone away, not able to make quick enough work of the drivers on 30-plus older tires in front of them, remained boxed in, and now things have kind of evened out. Sims was able to get himself clear relatively quickly. Barbagellotta's been able to do the same, but you can see that that interval has grown. Sims not only had the 1.2, 1.3 second advantage by the time Barbagellotta got himself clear of Peterson, but he's also been doing a great job of maneuvering his way through the lap traffic.
Sims now basically 2 seconds ahead of Barbagellotta. Just has the better race car, I would say. In addition to having equally fresh tires.
On 20 laps to go, you got to think that the strategy for Jackson Sims, for William Barbagellotta, was they felt coming to pit road, taking on that set of tires, that could be the last caution of the night. I think for Peterson and company, they felt there might be another yellow flag, and if there is one, they then come to pit road and the script gets flipped. They then have the advantage of the fresher tires as whoa, they nearly just got that caution. Little contact between Eric Kev and Jared Duda.
I was gonna say 20 laps to go. It's not a whole lot, but we've seen that just one little bump can be all it takes to set off a big wreck, so we're not out of the woods just yet.
Jackson Sims coming into tonight was tied for most top 10s on the season with Matthew Weiss and Jared Duda at 7. He was second in most top 5s this season, 5 along with Matthew Weeks. Jared Duda, the only one outside of them that had more, at 6. Sits 4th in the standings, had that podium finish last week at Road America, and he is praying that these lap times at Bristol tick away in a historically fast fashion.
We were 3 wide for just a moment trying to navigate around lap traffic. There's more ahead of these guys right now too, so this is kind of that one thing that's your only real big fear, I would say, when you have this big of a lead this late in the race, is just hope that everybody else can be clean for these last few laps.
So the 21 of Logan Park pound the wall, trying to give as much room as he could. They were too wide underneath of him. Still too wide here is Brett Malone, trying to pick up a spot on Jared Duda. That's for 4th place. Brent Kincott right there. DuPont, Kev, all trying to take advantage of the older tires of the 75 and the 53.
Oh, nearly taking it 3 wide again. They hold on to 2 wide for now. I think Peterson at this point is just focused on trying to play defense. I don't think he's really going to be able to catch up to 27.06.
Yeah, they're just hanging on, and they're trying to kind of blockade the racetrack here, not allow the fresher tires a lane to the inside or the outside to get by. Kincott gonna send it in. Is it gonna stick? No, not quite. And look at that interval on the scoring pylon. Was a 1.5 seconds, then increased to 2 seconds. We're looking at 4 seconds nearly between Jackson Sims and William Barbagellotta.
Oh, nearly a brief moment right there. Some cars kind of get loose right in front of him as Sims navigates around more lap cars.
His way to the inside of Vincent Vanderhook, multiple laps down, right now in the 21st position. Rod Fastenau, who's currently a lap down in 17th, next on the hit list. make his way by his teammates. Still not clean racetrack out the windshield. Still going to have to deal with some race cars here. That's Tyler McClellan up ahead.
I mean,
Zachary Henry in the 12, I think, is the next car in front of him.
This is the thing if you're Jackson Sims right now. I mean, you're just really trying to negotiate with lap traffic at this point because you have a 4-second gap on the cars behind you. The more lap cars you pass, the more of a buffer that you're putting between yourself and the rest of the leaders. So even if all these cars were to magically make up that gap, they also have to navigate around the rest of the lap cars. So this is a perfect scenario for Sims.
Fourth place, once again, side by side. Brent Kincott trying to take advantage of those fresher tires to the inside of Jared Duda, not the preferred lane to make a pass. You can see he can get alongside. He just can't seem to get that power down through the center of the corner. Saw him lose the nose in the entry of the turn and going to give up some ground on the exit.
Now 6 to go this time by, and it is now almost a 5-second gap. Or now it is a 5-second gap.
This next time by, it will be 5 laps to go. These drivers, they are racing hard. If we're going to see a late race yellow, it might be in that vicinity. As now Jackson Sims going to make a pass here on Matthew Weeks, going to put the defending champion a lap down. Matthew Weeks, I believe, was another of those drivers that stayed out on the older tires, and he's paying the price for it here. Currently in the 14th position, actually just gave up a spot to the 71 of Hudson Geiger as well, just trying to limp that car home as Jackson Sims now, I believe, has some breathing space between himself and the next car that he would have to deal with. More importantly, he's got only a mile and a half left to go.
Hit your marks if you're Sims, no mistakes. Run these last few laps clean. This is going to be a statement victory for that 6 car as he comes into this race 4th in the points. He just put the points leader and defending champion a lap down as he takes the white flag now.
1/2 mile left to go. What a season it has been for Jackson Sims. It's about to get even better. It'll be back-to-back races that a KFS Motorsports car goes to victory lane, but tonight belongs to Jackson Sims as he will take the Dark Horse Motorsports battle at Bristol.
3 wide right there. Not sure if there were any lap cars or not. Or Gelada going to bring it
3 wide, I think, for 8th position coming to the line. And what a gutsy call for Jackson Sims. He gave up the lead to come down and take tires, kind of put himself back in traffic. He was 8th on the restart, but he was able to find the path, whether it was to the inside or the outside of the drivers on older tires, and made the right call, and that being the final caution of the evening as well. A gamble that pays off and nets him a checkered flag here in Season 12.
If anything, just kind of a matter of patience as well, knowing that you're going to give up the race lead, but if you have fresher tires, as long as you're patient enough, the right lines will eventually open up for you, and that's exactly what Jackson Sims did. He's going to bring that car up to victory lane. Oh, well, maybe not because there's an invisible wall.
Do we have an invisible wall there? Are we denying the drivers access to victory lane?
Might have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe another opening further on down here on pit road. There you see Brent Kincott passing by, offering congratulations there. Nope.
Darn.
We can't get into the infield.
I've always enjoyed, that's one of the things I enjoy about Bristol Motor Speedway, one of the more unique victory lanes in the sport. You have to drive up that ramp onto the top of that building, which is where it's located. Unfortunately, I don't think winning this race will give him a sword. Oh, there you go.
There we go. 3rd time is the charm. Just to kind of put into perspective what kind of a night it was here at Bristol. 5 laps into the race, we were talking about Jackson Sims battling to keep himself on the lead lap. Fast forward 220 laps later, and he's parked in victory lane.
Yeah, it was absolutely impressive. I still remember. I think it was lap one, lap two, one of those laps where I was trying to make a call as to what was happening at the front of the field. I had to do a double take because I was like, hang on a second. The sixth car is not the leader, but he's at the front of the field. He was struggling in that lap or ahead of the rest of those cars, but just barely manages to hang on to the lead lap, and there you go.
But you mentioned about that unique victory lane. We're going to see if we can now dial up the driver that is parked right on the top of that infield care center, Jackson Sims. Jackson's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
I'll tell you what, wild night here at Bristol. They don't call it a coliseum for nothing. We saw a lot of drivers here this evening that are going to be leaving with scuffs and dings and dents. As far as I'm aware, that 6 car did not have any damage on it until the invisible wall decided to deny you access to the infield. You managed to keep the car clean, managed to remain consistent here tonight, and made a gutsy call that got you this victory. I want to go back to that call. You come down pit road, you put on 4 fresh tires, but it puts you back on the outside of row number 4. How difficult was it to execute the patience necessary to carve your way back up to the front?
It was passing wasn't as hard as I anticipated it being. I think that long green flag run those guys had on their tires kind of helped helped me out. But yeah, I was debating, but I was kind of thinking I would pit, we would run a couple laps, and the caution would come out, and I could do what I did the run before. But I went green, and I didn't know if it would work out, but it ended up working out. The whole last 30 laps, I'm just thinking, when's the caution coming? I'm so glad we finally went green.
Last week, we talked to you with your podium finish at Road America, momentum coming into tonight. You put together a really solid season, but being able to cap it off here with a victory and still 4 races to work with until the chase begins. Coming into tonight, I think we already had you slated, pretty much confirmed to be battling for the championship. But what does it do maybe in terms of momentum in preparation for the postseason going in as a winner in the regular season now?
Yeah, it's nice. I think points I was looking good either way, but you never know when you're going to have a couple bad weeks in a row. So the bigger the buffer I can get. But yeah, it certainly feels good to finally get one.
Obviously, here this evening as well, we ended up seeing that no matter where you were in the field, seemed like drivers would run into issues. We saw a couple of incidents up inside of the top 5 even. How were you able to kind of manage putting yourself in safe spots, be able to avoid the wrecks if they happened around you, or not even find yourself in the vicinity of those wrecks when they happened?
Yeah, it was more kind of looking at who was in front of me and how they were racing, and not putting myself in bad spots. I did get into um, the big one we had on the front stretch, and I lucked out. Didn't get as much damage as I thought I was going to get, so get that fixed and had to drive up through the field again. But yeah, it was more just being patient, letting the race come to me.
We mentioned about the fact that your evening didn't start out quite the way that you anticipated. The early caution that came out managed to keep you on the lead lap, but you had the leaders in the rearview mirror. Did you think at that point that we'd be talking to you in victory lane at the end of the night?
No, I feel like what Elliott Sadler did in the 21 Wood Brothers car about 20 years ago. That was, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, missed a start, and I thought my night was over right there. So glad it worked out.
Well, it certainly did. Jackson, congratulations on a job well done here this evening at maybe one of the toughest racetracks on the circuit. Bristol Motor Speedway able to conquer the Coliseum here tonight. And we'll let you get back to your celebrating there in Victory Lane in a moment. But before we do, we're giving the opportunity for thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, thanks you guys and all the admins for your broadcast. My dad was crew chief tonight, did a good job. Thanks to my KFS teammates, and shout out to my grandparents watching.
As Jackson Sims, the consistent season continues, but tonight he parks in victory lane at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again. Got 4 tough tracks coming up before you can start running for that championship in the chase. Best of luck next week when you guys head to the Irish Hills of Michigan.
Thank you. See you.
Gonna be back-to-back victories for the Toyota Supras out of KFS Motorsports. And let's see if we can now dial up another driver that was also on the fresh tire strategy, managed to work his way up to second place where he finishes tonight. Let's get a hold of William Barbagelata. Hey, William, the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, I'll tell you what. It seemed like a tale of, well, normally we have a tale of 2 races. Tonight was a tale of about maybe 10 races from start to finish. But at the close of this one, you, along with a number of other drivers, elect to give up the track position to come down pit road, take on that last set of tires. You were able to fight your way up to second, but by the time you got there, the 6 had checked out. Was it just a matter of not being able to get around those slower cars on the older tires quickly enough?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what it came down to. I mean, I struggled so much to get past those guys. I mean, Duda raced me hard. I think Hunter did too, and Jackson just got right around him. So I probably spent 10 to 15 laps working on them while he was already gone. And I think I just burned up a lot of my stuff. I mean, he was so quick though. Anyways, at the end, I don't even know if I would have caught him on even footing. But it was a lot tougher to have to battle those guys and finally get clear and then try to run them down. I don't really think I had much of a chance.
One thing that I noticed on a number of restarts where you were able to make up a lot of time and a lot of positions around the top side of the racetrack, but that was normally when you were battling drivers on equal footing in terms of tires. How much more different was it to try and manage battling drivers that you had about 30 lap fresher tires then?
Well, I mean, it was tough with them, even with the fresher tires with them up there. It's just so tough to pass because you just get that huge run off the top. So when you think you're going to get clear, they just show up right back on your outside. So I mean, it was a battle. I thought it'd be much easier for me to make up that ground on the bottom, and it just did not work out. And luckily for Sims, he was also able to get to the top, got around him quicker, and I just couldn't jump up there. By the time I got to everyone was running the top and defending so hard that I could not make the time on the bottom to make it work, unfortunately.
It looked like here this evening you drivers had your hands full. We ended up seeing a number of drivers get really snappy loose on the fresher tires where they were running the bottom or the top. Saw a lot of drivers losing the nose on corner exit on the inside line. Just what exactly were you drivers necessarily dealing with? Was it more the car or was it the conditions of the racetrack here tonight?
I'd say probably a little of both. I mean, it was definitely sketchy, especially early in the run, like you said, those first couple laps, you really had to be patient on the throttle. And a lot of people, they just want to go, go, go and try to make up track position. So you really had to balance how hard you wanted to push early in the run there when everyone was so close together and maybe you could make up a couple spots versus trying to hang on to it. Because there was a lot of guys, I think Peterson did it, a couple other people, just Elliott, just trying to drive hard early in that run and just like that, it can snap on you and step out on you. So you always had to have that in the back of your mind on those restarts that at any moment you push it a little too hard, it could snap on you.
Another driver that was also able to stay out of trouble. You're able to bring it home in the second position here tonight under the lights at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Congratulations on an overall well put together race, able to reap the benefits with some solid points here as well going into Michigan. William, before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank you guys for putting on these races. Always do a great job, admins as well. And then my teammate Zach, it's been just him and me showing up lately, so I appreciate the company.
Well, that is William Barbagelata, your runner-up finisher here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again on the solid run. Best of luck next week at Michigan.
Yeah, thank you guys.
William Barbagelata, another driver, much like Jackson Sims as well, that came in with some momentum. A solid top 10 run last week at Road America in 8th, second place here tonight. But this evening belongs to driver number 6 in Jackson Sims. And a lot of drivers, as we look down the finishing results, you've got Peterson, Duda. They were up here at the front pretty much the entirety of the evening. They were your front row. But then you look at some other drivers that really had to mount some comebacks here tonight. Brent Kinkott had to fight his way back up. Same for Brett Malone, Aiden DuPont, James Wagner. I think he was involved in the first incident, that 4-car incident off of turn number 2 that put us under the first yellow. Madalinas hangs on for a top 10. There are a number of different stories all the way throughout this top 10 finishing results.
And that's what makes Bristol as interesting as it is. Obviously, you have the cars that were dominant up front the whole time, and then we didn't even mention James Wagner, and here he is finishing P9. Brett Malone, we're talking about him. He came back late, finishing in P7. So, yeah, definitely plenty of stories throughout this top 10. This should make for a very interesting shakeup in terms of the points.
Yeah, especially around that cut line. Madalinas coming into this race 16 below. We're going to see drivers' names like Elliott Henderson, Cy Jackson, Zachary Henry, who did not get the best of finishing results. They will more than likely either lose ground or fall below the cut line going into next week at Michigan. Going to make things very interesting down the home stretch of this regular season. But I said it at the beginning of the night, Bristol was going to more than likely be one of those wild card racetracks, and it certainly proved to be exactly that. We saw incidents at the front, middle, and back of the field. With those number of cautions that we had, it seemed like just about nobody was safe, no matter where you were running.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of Bristol Motor Speedway. You can only really run 2 wide here. You can't really fit 3 wide, not really a whole lot of space to navigate your way around wrecks. It's one of those racetracks where, like I said at the beginning, you're just minding your own business, and the next thing you know, there's an incident happening 2 turns in front of you, perhaps, and then you get caught up in somebody else's business, and that can you can completely change the outcome of your day. So a lot of drivers definitely had to do a lot of endurance here in this one.
It's going to be really close for the overall points lead as well. Girarduda was minus 20 to Matthew Weeks coming into this race. He'll gain 10 positions, finishing 4th to Matthew Weeks 14th. Matthew finishing a lap down, so the gap will certainly be a lot closer going into next week at Michigan between those two. And then I think maybe one of the big ones here in the 24th position, Elliott Henderson came into this race, the cut line driver. Zachary Henry going to finish just a couple positions ahead of him. He was the first driver outside the cut line. Those two were separated by 6 points from 10th to 11th.
I think Shane Neiswanger as well. He's definitely going to drop some spots in the point standings, finishing P28, came into this race. I think it was P5 in points, yeah, so he's finishing 28th as well with the good finishes that a lot of other drivers above the cut line got. Would not be surprised to see the 49 take a big hit in points.
A bunch of other drivers, their nights came to an early end. Less than 50 laps into this race. John Linday, Anthony Yankello, Blair Neabone, Gavin Fitzgerald, James Shiflett, all involved in earlier incidents and had an early night here at the last great Coliseum. But man, I'll tell you what, not exactly a whole lot of room to race here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. It'll be the complete opposite next week when we head to the very spacious, very wide, but very high speed Michigan International Speedway. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a table Bristol has set when we eventually head to the Irish Hills in a week's time.
Yeah, it's going to be a dynamically different race, a lot more room to maneuver. As you said, a lot bigger of a racetrack as well, super high speed. So these drivers should engage in a lot of battles for position. It could be pretty much what you see on a drafting track almost in a sense. So that should be a really exciting race next week.
4 races left to go in the regular season until we approach the chase for the Great Lakes Racing Premier Series. A new driver in victory lane this season as Jackson Sims takes the Dark Horse Motorsports battle at Bristol. What a fight it was here this evening for these drivers. We thank you all for tuning to our coverage here this evening. These drivers now will make their way to Michigan International Raceway as they look to take a further step towards battling in the postseason for this season's championship. For our producer, Jeff Johnson, Jack Mitchell, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for inviting us into your homes on this Tuesday evening as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of Split Second Broadcasting.